Hello Internet, this is Roshi, and I'm back with another reaction, this time reacting to a interesting Genshin Impact character demo of sorts. I missed this one. Well, in actuality, this apparently was an April Fool's joke, and this is for Enjo? That's hilarious. I did not know that was a thing. I don't know what this is going to show. I'm sure it's going to be more on the comedic side. Possibly, considering what we know and how things went with Enjo. But I look forward to watching this and sharing with you what I think. It's currently April now at the time of this recording. We're halfway through it. I would have done this on April Fool's Day, but then who would have believed me? So we're going to do it now. Anyway, let's get into it. Abyss Lector, Fathomless Flames, treasures in text.
Let me see. Where else could it be?
Oh.
That book, Before Sun and Moon, has really piqued my curiosity. Wait a sec. Maybe a certain hero already beat me to it. Either way, that book belongs in the hands of a bona fide scholar.
Oh, man.
And you better than a qualified lector like myself. Let the flames of redemption rise from the ashes to this world anew. Now is the time for my second coming. Nope, no sign of it here either. In which case...
It's him!
Revelation from on high!
Huh?
Seems like you two have been busy. Good for you. Oh, and thanks for the book.
Wow. Oh.
Shogun Almighty, reborn as Raiden with unlimited power. What in the...
Okay, all right. Okay, that was incredible. Wow. Man. For those familiar, you know how I feel about animation. I'm also a huge sucker for stop motion animation. It takes so much time. I mean, the majority of animation takes a lot of time to actually do. But something about stop motion animation, it's just so meticulous because it's so easy to mess up and have to like completely redo a scene or like the last few parts. If you have to be like really careful, and it just takes a lot of time and patience and what's required for it, because you're not just drawing pictures anymore. Not saying that's not any less work, but there's just the craft of it, having to make the sets, the characters, depending on how you're going to do it, the different expressions for the characters, whether or not you're changing their face or you're changing their whole head, whatever that is. And then there even a lot of the little eye candy and after effects they have in here are also stop motion, like the purple fuzz stuff for the teleportation, and the fireballs were little models being tossed in a direction. Like, oh man, it's so cool. It's so cool. There was a lot of interesting things about this. Now I want to read this text right here. I love how they show like a chibi version of him. That's just funny. Let me read this. Wielders of abyssal fire who pursue the meaning behind texts and scriptures is a member of the Abyss Order, right? Abyss Lector, Fathomless Flames, treasures in text. In texts. Now, I was wondering, because of the little ending that we had here, if this was actually canon to the things that had happened. Like, was there another event where we met Enjo in between here? Now, I know that there is an event where we go back to Enkanomiya and we see Enjo again. I did already react to that, and if you are curious, that's available for members right now, Scholar tier and up. However, it will be available to the public when we get to that point in the game. There are just some things before that happens, before that's shared with everyone. Anyway, my whole thing about Enjo, or the thing that calls itself Enjo, is I like the character a lot. This is a character I'd sit down and have like some tea with, a coffee, maybe even a beer, depending on their preference, and just talk about stuff, because they're very intelligent. They're very knowledgeable. Issue is that I can't trust them. Can't trust them as far as I could throw them, and I have weak arms. Not as noodly as Arataki Ito's, but close. There's wow, random shots at Arataki Ito. Damn, my bad. What I mean to say is that in the future, I make a mistake where I call him a liar, and that's not technically true. He doesn't necessarily lie to us. He does deceive us, though. And in my brain, I consider that lying about who you are. You know? To deceive, you're not putting out the right information. At the same time, it's technically not lying. So if we do get technical with it, he doesn't lie to us. But I don't trust the guy, because, you know, I got trust issues, and if you betray me, then so there's that. But other than that whole thing about him, I like a lot of other things about him. I think he's a really interesting character. I think he's a really fascinating character. There's so much more that I want to learn about him. And I hope that I get to encounter him again someday in some way. This was a fantastic little thing that they did for this guy. Let's look through it a little bit. I want to talk about the animation itself. Just a tiny bit. Okay, yeah. So they have like these doll models, but they made but the clothes are fabric, which is nice. I just like this mixed medium of sorts. Well, at least that's what I want to say. It's not really mixed medium. It is all stop motion animation, but I mean how they put their sets together, how they put the characters together. It's not all clay, for example. Like, it could just be all clay, which would be great too. Or it could be all paper, and that's fine. But no, we have a mix of things here. We have cloth, we have plastic, we probably have clay, or maybe even resin. Like, you know, we have paper. They did a really good job at like aging things, like, you know, like the cracked stone. You have like the moss growing in the corners and stuff. There's like random scrolls and other things just on the floor scattered about. They did a really good job setting the scene. And then like here, this zoom, like, you know, they have that slight spiral zoom right here showing the candles on the table with stuff on the floor and oh man. Yeah, they did an excellent job at recreating that library, as far as the setting goes. And it's like, well, why are we talking about the setting when it's about the character, right? Setting is important. It's huge. Oh, do you see that there? This is just like fuzz. And it's lit up. Whether it's in After Effects or like some editing to make it look brighter to have this effect on it, I think. But I think that's just straight up fuzz. That's cool. I could be wrong about that too. But yeah, anyway, yeah, why talk about the setting when it's about the character? Well, that the setting helps sell that character. You know, it's putting them in that environment, and they did a really, really good job at recreating this area where we technically find him in, or a place similar to it at the very least. I don't know. That's super cool. Like, this table is extremely messy with other stuff on it, showing that like work has been done. Candles have been on, melted, moved around and such. You'd have plenty of these other books here. Yeah, they use like some kind of like fuzz stuff and like color it differently for a lot of these effects. Then he has his transformation, and yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool how they did all that. And what I like about this, we have these guys. All right, so now this lightning, this is an effect that they put in afterwards, right? And like this charge up with the ice. Fair, that's fine. You can't do it for everything. Well, you probably could, but it would, I mean, these are little tiny things, and like you barely notice it when it's happening, but it still gives you that little extra oomph that they did in the first place. Yeah, and once again here, like the stone patterns and stuff, like they could have made this a lot less detailed and people still would have loved it, but there is just so much care put into all this. Yeah, and I think, oh, I don't know if I'm seeing that right, but there's a little something right here. I'm not sure if you could see my mouse. There's a little something right there. It looks like there might be a little like a pin or something that's probably maybe helping hold the jaw in place, because you see it is kind of just not floating, but lower than low enough to not have a secure connection onto much and probably fall off. It looks like, yeah, it looks like there's pins here. That's cool. Oh man. See, even if you see the inside workings of things like that, it doesn't even deter you away from it, because you're just kind of like, oh, that's how they made it work. Like, or at least that's how my brain is when it comes to this kind of stuff. But even having these creatures here and like, yeah, them doing this move, you know, where they work together to do their charge beam attack at you, and like how they're taking that from the game itself. So not just the setting, but actual character or monster or whatever you want to say motions. Looks like there's even frost buildup on this guy too, with how he's colored in some places. Yeah. Okay, and then here it's, oh man, I was nervous at first because I was like, does he get a hold of the book? And oh no. Okay, sure. How's that gonna turn out? But turns out that this wasn't the right book. This was that Raiden Shogun Yai publishing house light novel book thing, which I do remember reading at one point. I don't know if it was on camera for everyone or not, but yeah. Still, it's really funny how that turned out to be the book. And he's just like, what the why we're carrying it out like this when we're walking around? I don't know, but we are. You can see a little bit of other imperfections here, just a little bit, like the electro lights, the lights that glow a color depending on the element that ether has. For example, it's the paint job got a little bit on the gold that holds it. Still not a big deal, because when you see this scene, you are looking at the book, because that's what he brings attention to, right? And then in the next scene, you're not focused on that anymore. We go back to him. It's really quick, so it's not even that big of a deal. Yeah, but I like it though, because even if some of the textures are how would I say, like for example, some things look a little crumbly, like the scarf looks pretty thin and stiff, but you know, it's fine, it's serving its purpose. It's not like, it's the style that they went with, and I like how it's like this mix of stuff. Paimon, her outfit is very crumbly in some places, like you can see the cracks in it and whatnot, but there's still something about this that makes it I don't know, makes it fun, makes it nice. You can clearly see that for Paimon they do a thing where they completely change the front of her head, her face right here, the seam, so this whole part right here they would pop off and replace with something else, a different expression. That's my guess, because there's no reason to have this seam all the way across, and this is not something that you would notice if she was looking straight on, but you definitely notice it here, how there's like this pretty large gap between things. And of course you could make it so it's not as noticeable, but this was a quick demo thing that they did, and Paimon's not on screen for a lot in this. I'm wondering if hold on, I want to play it again real quick. I'm wondering about the eyes. I wonder if they did the same thing for Ether too. It's hard to tell. They look like they're painted, but something tells me that maybe there's more to it than that. Just because of how it's layered. Like, that looks odd to me. Either way, it's not a big deal. I find it more interesting than anything else. But yeah, this was a fantastic little demo that I've finally got around to seeing. I didn't know this was a thing until I dropped the Enkanomiya video, which if you haven't seen that by now, I recommend you go and check that out. You can watch me lose my mind as I explore Enkanomiya for the first time and eventually read the book that our good old friend, the thing that calls himself Enjo, was searching for, the Before Sun and Moon book. I read that and it's a trip. But anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, then let me know by leaving a like, writing your thoughts in the comment section down below, checking out the description for additional ways of how to support me, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Every little bit counts. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, shine on, you crazy diamonds. Later.